And hello and welcome. Today I want to talk about how to deal with failure, setback, disappointment in life. Most people online they don't want to talk about this. They feel it's too negative. They just want to talk about the positive stuff. Yeah, puppy, manifest this, manifest the life you want, be rich, or meditate and feel blissful. But no matter what path you're choosing, whether it's a spiritual path or the material path, you're trying to find enlightenment or peace, or you're trying to start you lose weight, start a business, you will at some point find failures and setbacks and disappointments in your journey. And how you react to that will define whether you succeed or not. Okay? Learning how to deal with failures and setbacks, disappointments is absolutely critical, I feel. And it's sad that people just want to talk about the lovey-dovey good stuff. They don't want to talk about the painful stuff. Let me talk about it. So, normally talk about meditation, and people start meditation to get away from pain. But meditation is not a magic wand. You can't just wave it and make all your problems disappear. You have to fix the underlying causes which cause us to suffer, which are usually the negative self-talk, the hateful thought, constant negative thoughts that keep running in our mind. That's what we need to deal with. That's not what we need to work with. And whenever you fail in anything, in any way, you're trying to lose weight, you don't lose weight fast enough, or you gain weight, or you cannot keep to your diet, you'll attack yourself. What will happen is that constant negativity in your mind will suddenly take over and say, I told you so, nothing works, we are useless. And what happens is that the more you attack yourself, the more the inner self, you got an inner child inside of us, the more that inner child feels attacked, and the inner child revolts. And what happens is this it's called what the hell effect. Because if you're trying to lose weight, say, and you eat some chocolate, you'll say, what the hell, I've lost anyway, let's just eat lot. Let's just eat like a pig, because but it doesn't matter now, right? And this is what happens when you constantly shame yourself, constantly attack yourself, constantly judge yourself. And that's how most people go through life with any goals, that they'll aim for something really big. I'm going to lose 20 kilos by end of this month, or I'll be my own millionaire by 30. And the media and the social media are full of examples of some 25-year-old who's a millionaire by 30. And we're encouraged to become millionaires by the age of 30 and look like supermodels. Yeah, and be enlightened as well, and be all blissed out. But it doesn't work for that way, right? For most of us, we struggle, we hit failures. And when you fail, not if you fail, but when you fail, you will have to treat yourself with compassion. Like Jordan Peterson says, you treat yourself like you're taking care of somebody who's sick. Okay, somebody else in your life failed, you wouldn't insult and humiliate them, right? You would show them compassion. And you need to have the same compassion for yourself if you want to succeed in this long term. Because if you constantly berate yourself and attack yourself, your inner self will start hating you, and will start to sabotage you. If you pick a fight with yourself, you lose. Many people, when they're failing, they attack themselves. They use self-shaming as a method to motivate themselves. They use self-attack, and self-shame as a method to motivate themselves. And that works in the short term. In the long term, your inner self, your subconscious, it starts hating you so much, it'll do everything it can to sabotage you. And you'll start facing lots of problems in your job, in your life, and you might get sick, you might fall sick, or people start fighting with you. That's your inner self. If you're constantly facing attacks in the outer world, it's usually your inner self fighting you. So the solution to that is to treat yourself with compassion, to not be at war with yourself. You need to treat yourself with respect and dignity. You need to have compassion for yourself. Every time you fail, you need to say, that's fine, I'm only human. That's fine, I couldn't lose weight with this diet. My business failed, or I sat down to meditate and I kept having angry thoughts. That's fine, I'm human. You need to have that level of compassion for yourself. It's fine, I'm human. I'm not perfect, and it's okay, it's not a big deal. And if you have this attitude, I mean, you will succeed, because if you're not constantly berating and attacking and shaming yourself, you have more chance of succeeding. Yeah, if you have compassion for yourself, you can, if you understand that, if you fail, that's fine. What you need to understand is that you have dignity, and you have, inherent respect, and inherent, you have some inherent divinity in you. If you don't believe in, if you believe in God, then you're inherently divine. If you don't believe in God, then you can say that you have a inbuilt dignity in you that's not dependent on how rich you are, how good looking you are, how much weight you lost, what promotion, what job you have, or what you've done in the outer world. Your dignity is inbuilt. It's in, inherent since the day you were born. You have this divine spark in you, as it were. Okay? You've got a portion of the universal intelligence working through you, and you don't have to do anything to earn, the love and respect of the world and yourself, because you deserve it just by your existence. You deserve to be happy and joy and peaceful. You don't need to do anything. And people, when they fail and when they lose hope, when they're like, oh, nothing is working, or my life is screwed, nothing works, I might as well give up. What they're doing is they're attaching their dignity, they're attaching their self-respect to something outside of themselves. They're saying, I am not perfect if I cannot get X. X is money, a partner, a job, promotion, or whatever. So if you fail in something, you need to realize that even if you might have failed in some endeavor temporarily, but that does not reduce who you are. It does not touch your inherent divinity or the spark inside of you, that perfectness that lives inside of us, all of us, a part of the universal intelligence, the divine spark that lives in us. It does not affect that. And we are perfect in spite of anything and everything going on in the outer world. You need to really understand and, put it inside, make it a part of you. If you're not dependent on the outer world for your dignity or your love or your respect, then you can work in the outer world without any fear. If you fail, that's fail. You fail, that's fine. Yeah, it doesn't matter, because you're perfect as you are. You need to try this now. I mean, go to a mirror, or use your phone, something. Just turn the camera yourself and just look in the camera and say, I'm perfect as I am now. I need do nothing to be perfect. I deserve to be happy because I am perfect. I deserve to be peaceful and joyful because I am perfect as I am now. And you need to make this peace with yourself. You need to accept your inherent divinity and dignity. And once you do that, it doesn't matter what happens in the outer world. You still have to, you can still, I mean, many spiritual types, they want to run into the forest to become, monks. You don't have to do that. You can have a good job, you can have good money, you can have all that, provided your worth does not depend on it. Your 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 joy and peace should come from inside, not from the outer world. Okay, so that's very important, and that's how you deal with setbacks and failures. You realize that bad things happen to you, but it does not affect your inbuilt power at all. You're perfect as you are now. That said, once I made this point, there's a second point I'd like to make. That is, Suffering, we know we usually run away from suffering. If we fail, we are like, oh no, we take it personally, and we think we are being attacked. And suffering can really hurt you. It could be suffering could be because of a job loss, someone you love dumps you or leaves you, or you're just not meeting the goals in your life, and it can be very painful, this suffering. But the truth of the matter is, suffering gives meaning to our life. Suffering puts into context what is important in our life. And I know this is going to sound harsh, but a little bit suffering is good for everyone because it shows you where you're going wrong, where you're not following your inner guidance, and where where you have started attaching worth to outer stuff. You're starting saying, I need to have a good job to be happy, I need to have this partner to be happy. Suffering shows us where we are going wrong in our life. And I mean, for me, I've had, like everybody, I'm not claiming to be some, you know, martyr or suffering saint, but like everyone, I've had bad times. But now I realize those bad times made me the person I am. Now I've got very strong opinions about things, and I have those strong opinions because suffering made me realize that, what is important for me in my life. The answer will be different for you, and that's fine. We all have our own crosses to bear, as it were. But suffering gives meaning to our life. So we shouldn't run from suffering. Don't run towards suffering. Don't go looking for problems. But when problems come, use them as an excuse to see, right, what role am I playing in my suffering? And there's always some role you're playing. You can be the victim, or you can be, oh no, you can be trying to hide from it. Or you can look at, how can I change my life so this doesn't happen again? If your business failed, you can, what did I do wrong? Did I not learn, the skills needed? If your partner dumps you, again, don't blame other people. Look at yourself. Where did I go wrong? Could I have done things better? And maybe there's nothing you could have done. Maybe you're just, bad things happen, right? Your company might go bust. Your partner just decide to leave you. Bad things can happen, but instead of looking at the outer world and looking at something to blame, see it as a good excuse to look inside and ask yourself the question. And maybe the answer will be no. Ask yourself the question, have I done anything wrong in this? Can I learn something from this? Maybe the answer is no. Maybe the answer is yes. That's fine. It doesn't matter what the answer is. The important thing is that you actually go through the exercise of looking at your life. And where can I improve my life? Where can I change? Suffering shows us what is important. It gives us, this strength of character. I know it sounds very cliche, and I'm sorry, but I'm speaking from my experience and other people's experience. Suffering does give you meaning in your life. It makes everything clear. Okay, this is important. Or sometimes you think, oh, if I have this new job and new car, I'll be happy. And when you get that job, you're like, shit, I'm still miserable. Happened to me at one point. I hated my job and I was stuck in a dead end job. And then things happened and I got a better job. And slowly I doubled my salary and I was still miserable. And when I was poor, I was like, I could blame my boss is evil, my company is evil. If only I had more money, I'd be happy. And then I doubled my salary, and then I was still miserable. So I couldn't say it's my boss's fault, it's company's fault, or they're all out to get me. There was nobody to blame, and I had to look at myself and say, shit, maybe I'm creating my problems. Maybe it is me. And that's not to say my first company was crap, but when I spent all my time blaming them, I wasn't learning anything. I was still stuck in a dead end job. When I took responsibility, I said, what can I do different? That's when I could change the job. That's when I slowly doubled my salary. But I still wasn't happy because I realized that I was using that the low money as an excuse not to confront the problems I had. And in a way, The higher salary forced me to look at some underlying issues I was suppressing, because I couldn't. There's nothing left to blame, right? It was literally just me now, and that's the gift of suffering. Suffering puts everything into context, and other things suffering does is, the ego, our attachment to our thinking. We have this strong opinion of who we are. I'm this, I'm that, and my opinions are very important. People on Twitter are making death threats because to other people because they disagree with slightly with their opinions, and people have very strongly attached to their opinions, especially their political opinions, and they'll kill you for their opinions. That's the ego. It's attachment to our thinking, and the ego is really strong, and it's impossible to defeat. You can meditate for 10 hours. I mean, I made a video about this, but I spent 17 years meditating. I didn't get anywhere. And in fact, my ego became stronger. I followed all the traditional advice: sit on a straight back and chant for 2 hours a day. I was meditating for 2 hours a day, and nothing was happening. My ego was becoming stronger. It was suffering, extreme suffering, that caused the ego to crack. Because only in extreme suffering do we, the are we willing to let go of our limiting beliefs, our thinking patterns that keep us enslaved in this world. And so suffering, while it is when it was happening, it was very painful. Now I'm very thankful that that extreme suffering, I'm talking about so extreme that I was on the floor crying. I'm laughing now, but at that time I was literally on the hard floor just crying in pain. That sort of suffering, it helped me crack that hard shell of ego which 17 years of meditation couldn't do. Suffering gives us meaning. Failure, setbacks, disappointments, they're all very good if you can use them the right way to analyze your life. Don't use failure as a way to blame others or point finger. Again, in our culture, there's this blame culture where it's their fault, it's the government's fault, these evil corporations, or these political party. I won't name parties, but you can Republican, Democrats, Tories, Labor. You can whatever you want. They're really evil. And I've said people say that I'd rather die than vote for X party. And these strong opinions, all they do is they keep us enslaved in our thinking, and our thinking is what causes us to suffer. So if you want to go beyond suffering, you have to let go of these thinking patterns. And one of the best ways to have just go through the suffering with kindness and compassion to yourself. So how do you deal with failure? If your life is going to hell, everything is going wrong, nothing makes sense, what do? You have compassion for yourself. You say, that's fine, I'm human. I'm only human. I might have failed in the outer world, but that does not affect the inherent dignity I have, the inherent divinity I have. The spark of the divine that lives in me is still perfect. I'm perfect because this is the way I was created. I was born perfect. I don't have to work in the outer world. I don't have to do anything or get anything in the outer world to be perfect. And then you have to analyze your life. And yes, I know it's very hard, and I know it's very painful. And I know that you're, but like me, probably you're in tears as well with your life going wrong. All I can say is hang in there. Trust yourself. Don't trust some god who sits in the sky or something. Trust yourself. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in the your own higher self that's guiding you in this life. And life, it will start to make sense if every suffering teaches us a lesson, every failure teaches us a lesson. If you're humble enough and honest enough and compassionate enough, that's important. You need to have compassion. Then if you show compassion towards yourself, then life will guide you. That's all I can say. Be compassionate to yourself. That's fine. Everything's going to be fine. Thank you very much. If you liked it, press like, subscribe. Thank you. I'll be very grateful.